As there is a lot of it going around, I thought I would put my perspective from how minds work and how minds are interconnected through embedding into the aspects of the DMT molecule. Not just explaining the chemistry or the results when people take it exogenously, but what this molecule actually is, an explanation of its ontological nature within biological beings. Firstly, we'll go through the chemical interactions and causations in the body, and we'll work our way slowly up through the scales, as DMT is important to be understood through scales when in connection with the mind, as the mind also work up through scales. And so DMT uses specifically two enzymes for synthesis, the AADC and the INMT enzymes. The one most associated with DMT synthesis that we find prevalent throughout the body is the INMT enzyme. It's found most commonly in the lungs, adrenal glands, thyroid, through the heart, placenta, skeletal muscle, testes, small intestine, placenta, pancreas, and stomach. But it's found everywhere. It just depends if we're looking for it. This molecule metabolizes very fast, so most of the places where we recognize it to exist is found as a default result when doing experiments and making tests. But our understanding of how this is working at the molecular level in the blood, in the nervous system and the brain is still pretty low, as it metabolizes so fast and seems to be completely context dependent, so local. And what we do know is that the molecule interacts through the serotonin receptors. It is even found in small amounts within the cell itself, so subcellularly, in cellular stress situations, when the cell is under stress, and calcium ion channel signaling, so bioelectrical signaling. Within the cell, when the cell is under stress, we often find it between the endoplasma reticulum and the mitochondria, showing that it's prevalent in stress, growth, survival, and in terms of the mind, in goal feedback of the environment, how the agent achieves its goal. When it's under stress, there is DMT enzymes found. Also neurons, when they're in low oxygen states, when subjected to DMT, showed higher survival rates. This is from aerobatic stress experiments. DMT also seems to lower pro-inflammatory signaling, increases IL-10 associated with the body's endogenous anti-inflammatory. In experiments, DMT is also shown to improve neuronal recovery from damaged neurons or damaged neuronal pathways, and play a big role in neuroplasticity. But in the body, in the waking, working, alive body, when neurons get damaged, the waves, which are actually the mind, resort to substituting other neurons for this same expression, for the way of acting upon its decisions. In essence, it increases the positive fields from the mind, from the embedded minds. So from one wave feedback, from small to larger mind, it increases the reaching out and then the solution reaching back. it increases the fields. So DMT is triggered endogenously when the larger mind of the mental layer recognizes a struggle from an agent in its environment, reaching out with a problem, reaching back with a solution. It is the DMT that increases this informational communication feedback. We have to bear in mind that it is minds in the mental layer that influence physics and fields. And then these fields influence chemistry. Through the attention of the fields, chemistry is altered. DMT is one of the many molecules that is manufactured as the environmental mind field encodes the necessary DNA of the agent. Enzymes and proteins are coded through fields that are the expressions of the embedded minds from the mental layer. In simpler terms, we could say the environment dictates the protein output of the DNA. We should try to bear in mind it is the attention of the mental layer that creates the frequency of the field, which creates the chemical output. Mind, field, chemistry. DMT increases capacities for intuition. Intuition is when you gather information from outside your usual range of the body or agent. At the lower, smaller scales, this looks like automation. We just call this automation. Even though there are enzymes making millions of computational decisions per second, and trillions of these per second in your body, every second. And they do it intuitively, not automatically. It just looks like automatic from our perspective due to the scale factor. And so DMT on a larger scale to a fuller, more complex organism like a human being, we're given a roller coaster of intuition. And so now I'll move on to the larger scale, the full being scale, and the influences of DMT, and how the DMT also will increase in the larger scale. And it will increase not just in the brain, but in the glands and the nervous system throughout a lot of the body simultaneously as the signal is sent through the fields through the whole body. One clear event that we see on the full complexity of the human scale is what we call terminal lucidity. People suffering chronically from dementia or Alzheimer's disease or even from a coma, and all of a sudden, shortly before they die, they wake up, they become very lucid, they express themselves emotionally and have become very clear-headed in comparison to how they were before. This is as the body floods itself with DMT, increasing the fields for connectivity that were otherwise broken. The chemical increases the fields just enough so it can bypass the damage, as long as the DMT is still there until it metabolizes. And now I will explain what is happening on the larger scale of the human when we take DMT exogenously. So doses that we often flood the lungs and bloodstream with from outside in a non-natural method. One of the biggest problems I find with people taking it exogenously is due to a lack of foundational understanding of minds and the entanglement and embedding of minds, we don't fully understand that we are inside a yet larger mind. In fact, I call this a family of minds. We are in a family of minds. And so what often happens is, when we increase DMT, from our natural DMT count, we increase the DMT, and what happens is we communicate with the larger field. Just as I was explaining what happens within the cells under stress and neurons, the field is positively increased for feedback. The same happens when you flood the body with DMT. You go to the larger field that you are a part of. Yet we don't have the understanding. We don't understand the place, and we don't understand the beings that are a part of our mind as a collective that we communicate with or see. And different people see different types of entities, and this is just based on who you are at that moment and how your body is reacting, whether it's a level of fear, a level of playfulness, a level of intrigue. It depends on what you're expecting to see and the attention you can hold while you're in that space and with your mind family. So the entities, or what they call entities, that people experience when taking DMT are just a part of your larger mind, the extended mind beyond your mind. It would be very arrogant and probably just short-sighted and a little bit of ignorance if we were to assume that the mind stops at us. We need to leave a little bit of hubris at the door and understand that we are a part of a nested, embedded mind that expands out and expands right in to our cellular levels, right out beyond what we can even imagine. And if you made it this far, thanks for listening.